This is why your future self energy fades. This is one of the most common questions that I get when we talk about future self, getting into your dreams, understanding what type of person that you want to be. How can I hold the energy of my future self? How can I keep myself in the energy of my future self? Many of you are experiencing that you're almost there. You almost manifesting that thing until it slips away. You almost feel as if you're your future self. You almost are like sniffing on your desires. And when you do that and then you fall back or you slip back, then it's when we have to look into the embodiment of your future self energy. How can we hold that more? How can we maintain that energy? I've been embodying my future self energy for a very long time now, and it's really a journey where I really go deep into becoming more and more of what I feel is authentic to me, what I feel is true to me, how I want to live life, how I want to express myself, what I think is most important, what I value in life. And what I've learned about this is that it can be really hard to hold the energy when you are in this gap between this is my current self, this is what I have identified myself as for a very long time, or like I really ingrained this kind of habits and way of being and attitude into my life, and now I'm going to shift into something else that I feel is more resonant with me at this time and does feel more truer to me. Why is this energy so difficult to hold? We're going to talk about this today, and also how we can lock in that energy so that you can maintain your future self energy, so that you can be that version of yourself, that version of yourself that are your healthiest, your wealthiest, your brightest, most blissful person of yourself. Why it is difficult for you to maybe keep and maintain this energy is because you get stuck in this loop of almost manifesting, as I started this conversation with, right? You are almost there, and this is usually because you grip on your desire and you trying to control what's happening. Maybe you get really excited, like, oh my god, it's almost there, or oh my god, this seems like to be my dream, right? And then you start to feel that, okay, everything is just like falling apart, or I'm spiraling back. It might be also that you feel like, yes, I'm being in such a good mood, I've been holding the new routine, the new practices that I want for myself, like I'm really in this kind of good energy vibe. And then after a couple of days you feel that it's fading more and more and more, and you're just becoming more moody again. You don't feel at all for that new kind of change and that new kind of shift that happened for yourself. Is because you're gripping it. It's the energy of it starts to get serious, right? I start to actually see my dreams, my realizations, my reality come true for me. So I start to feel that it's serious, right? And when we start to see it as something serious, like, oh my god, this is for real now, this is actually happening, what happens many times is that we lose that sense and energy of playfulness and aliveness that we had in the beginning. Usually we are very like playful in the beginning of a desire. We're just like, oh my god, I'm curious about that, I want to know more. But after a while we make it so mean so much to us, I would say, so that becomes so serious. And when it becomes serious, we do not create the momentum, because aliveness and playfulness is creating momentum, and that's the opposite of seriosity, right? So if you notice that you become a little bit more like, oh my god, this is for real, or oh, this is really like I need to be in a certain way now because I really start to see that something will happen for you, you get into that kind of seriosity. Get yourself back into the aliveness of this desire. Get yourself back into the playfulness of that desire, so that you keep on holding the energy that created the momentum in the first place. Subconsciously, you create it in the wrong way. So subconsciously, maybe underneath, you are feeling lack about something, and that is, how can we say it? It's coloring your desire. It is coloring what it is that you want. It might be feel that you feel scarcity, or you feel fear about something. this will happen, or what if this happens, right? And this starts to create this kind of spiraling loop. And when we are in this spiraling loop, that is exactly what's happening. It's very difficult to hold a certain energy, a frequency, this playfulness, aliveness, this forward movement, this excitement, when we do feel lack or scarcity, when we feel fear, when we feel that we are getting a little bit too obsessed, that we just want to control everything so everything really works out in the way that we wanted it to be, right? I remember I talked with a person that was really, really successful in her, I think she had a business also, but I think this was in like the company she was working in, if I remember it right. And she was saying that like she has been taking on such a huge and really like big projects and being successful in them all. But what she noticed was that after a while, the momentum started to stall a little bit. It took a little bit longer time for her. And she started to see that in the end, when she was almost done with the project, sometimes it didn't go so well. Like something happened. So, they got delayed in the project or whatever it was. And what we noticed in that conversation was actually that she started to control things. She started to be even more like, okay, now it's for real. That kind of feeling that we talked about in the previous one, right? There is something like I need to control so everything works out in a great way, because now we are really at the finish line, right? But what she needed to do is to bring herself back to like, what is it that I'm subconsciously fear here? And what is it that I feel that kind of can become an obstacle that isn't an obstacle? What is that my subconscious is carrying? So the takeaway in this story, and for an understanding for you, is really that when you make things kind of hard for yourself subconsciously, or it feels very hard. If you think about it yourself, when you feel a sense of lack or you feel obsessed about something, things start to get a little bit harder, and it starts to look harder from your perspective as well. So this is also why it's difficult to hold this energy of your future self and hold the energy of your manifestation. So it doesn't get delayed, or it doesn't just like in the last minute something changed that doesn't seem to, or it doesn't feel as it is to your favor. Okay, so the third thing that I want to discuss with you, why it's difficult to hold the energy of your future self. It's also because you start spiraling because you have a splitted identity. And this one is, we have to be very aware actually, because we have our current self, we have our identity who has been in a certain way, we have an identity that we are very used to, we do things on autopilot, right? And then we have this other identity, and we start to feel as something else, we start to feel the shift inside, right? But we don't see that that is happening in the outside world, right? Because the shift always happens at first within. So what we notice is that, okay, I feel this change and I feel happier, or I feel more excited about this change, but why isn't my reality any like difference than it was from the day before or the day before that, right? And this is because it happens in layers, and it also happens when you really fully made that shift within. So even if you start to feel that shift within, we can get very discouraged, and we can start to feel like, okay, why isn't it happening? It must be something that I must be do something wrong, or maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe it's actually not this that I'm meant for. We start to, rationalize and start to figure out other ways for that. This may not be the path, because we actually start doubt ourselves. We start doubt ourselves, and we start to get into this kind of negative loop and negative spiral. And when we're in that one, it is more difficult to hold the frequency, the energy, because we are not our supporter. We are not supporting ourselves. We're not cheering on ourselves. Of course, it's more difficult to feel excited about the thing that we want to change, or about the thing that we want to create in our lives, right? It makes you feel less motivated. That is what I'm trying to say. So the fourth and the last thing before we go into a little bit more how you can lock in that energy is that you haven't normalized it yet. You haven't normalized your future self energy yet. Okay? This is the feeling of you bounce in and out, back in and out, or back. First you feel elevated, first you feel like, oh my god, my consciousness is really opening up here, or my understanding of something is really opening up, or this quality, I really start to feel that I'm becoming a person who has these qualities. And then you bounce back a little bit because you go back to the old behaviors, or you go back to the old self. And this is just because it's not normal. It's more normal for you to think, act, talk, have emotions as the current self and the old self, right? It is not normalized yet. So this is why we usually feel that, okay, wow, I can't keep this energy, I can't hold this energy. And we start to feel a little bit, once again, disappointed of ourselves. We start to judge ourselves. Why can't I just be in this energy, right? But it's rather about seeing that, oh my God, I'm evolving. I'm in this process of evolving. Every single time that you're thinking about, wow, now I'm spiraling back, that is a beautiful moment for you to realize that you are actually a new version of yourself, because the older version of yourself were not thinking of that at all. Your older version of yourself wasn't thinking that, oh my God, now I'm sipping out of, or I'm bouncing back to my old self. So you are making progress. Make sure that you also know that you are making progress. Now, when you know the whys, how can you now lock it in? So I have a couple of points I want to discuss with you as well when it comes to locking in your energy. The first thing is that you make it extremely uncomfortable for your old self to be there, for your old self energy to be in your company, right? This is not about not accepting who you are, your moods, how you feel, right? It's so important. I say this almost every single time I'm talking about this, that it's also so important that we are honest to ourselves and we are not repressing our emotions or ignoring them, right? It's more so about accepting where you are and loving that, feeling the most abundant as you can in that situation. At the same time, also saying like, no, you know what? This is not my company. I make it really extremely uncomfortable for old thoughts, old behaviors to be in my company when I want to shift into another version of myself. Your reality completely bends when you are certain, absolutely certain about what it is that you're not inviting into your life any longer, what you're not accepting. The more certain you are about that, the more you will be able to hold and normalize that future self energy. So start to look into, what is it that I'm not inviting? What is that is not in my company? What is will we not be in the company of me, right? My thoughts, my habits, something I think, a certain perspective I have, right? What is it? Can I kind of locate the keys? What it is that I'm not inviting any longer? You also lock it in by knowing what's right for you and take fast decisions. The more that you know what's right for you, the more that you know what your true deep desire is, the more you can also lock it in. You can also lock your future self energy in and start to see your dreams realize. Okay, so this is because when you know your standards, when you know what is that you truly want, when you know all of that, you know with absolute certainty that, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I will act on, this is what I will not act on, right? It makes it so much easier, okay? So when you're able to know what's right for you, you're able to be very certain in your decisions. You are saying that I want this smoothie on the menu, and I want to do this and this step in order for me to have this kind of dream. I need this strategy now, right? You're really much more certain, and you're much more able to just make these quick decisions and these very certain decisions. You're showing yourself, the world, you're in your energies, you're certain, so certainty you will get as well. If you're certain about your dreams, if you're certain about your dreams will happen, if you're certain about all of that, that is what will start to be reflected towards you as well. Why this is so powerful is because the more certain you are, the less likely you are to overthink, vent on things, ruminate, right? And that energy is very much so, okay, my energy fades and I spiral down into some kind of negative loop, right? And when you're certain, you're rather more just like, okay, wow, this makes me feel successful wow, this is what I want. Yes, I want more of this, right? You're so certain. So the third thing I want to say to you, and the last thing when it comes to locking in your energy, is really to start to being now. I know that that can seems like, yeah, I understand that, but what is it? Start to be your future self now and learn how to hold it. When you are excited enough and hold it enough, then is when the change happens. Oftentimes, why we feel that we can't really hold this kind of energy is just because we are not holding it long enough. We start to mistrust the process, we start to mistrust ourselves, doubt certain things. We start to change and tweak in the strategy, or change and tweak in the thoughts. Maybe this wasn't, am I really feeling that I have this desire? Have I maybe romanticized this picture, right? All which are healthy thoughts to have, but not healthy when we start to ruminate over them, ask the same questions over and over. So we have to look into how qualitative are we with our energy as well. And it is a little bit about a quantity game as well, right? How often, or how much, or how, like, can you hold the energy enough? Definitely. But it's also about, you can tap into your future self energy 5 minutes a day in the morning, and you can really hold that energy for the rest of the day if you're quality enough, if you have quality enough in that energy. I promise you this because this is what I did wrong in the beginning as well. I also thought that, I think that in the beginning I needed, I would say, so it's not really like I did it fully wrong. I want to have that honest conversation with you, but it was more so about feeling that, I needed to be in my energy all the time. And if I wasn't that, I felt shame. I was shaming myself. I was guilting myself, blaming myself for not being able to just be in my future self energy, not being able to be this blissful state I want to, not being able to really feel that I'm embodying, right? I was so focused on that. Or now I haven't been thinking about my future self. Now I haven't been thinking about my dreams. So I haven't giving it much thought. So I haven't been in the energy. I haven't been in the embodiment. But I started to realize that, wow, that is actually not true. And the more that I can do a deeper work with the embodiment of this energy, the less I actually have to do it, the less I actually have to think about it, because I just am it. Okay, I'm just it already, right? So most of the days now, I tap into her, I tap into the embodiment whenever I have the space for it, whenever I feel that I want to tap myself into it. And if that means that it's only 2 minutes a day, I will make sure that that's the only 2 minutes I require for that day to be in my future self energy for the rest of the day. That means that I'm really deepening the energy to it. It's so important. I don't really know why I said the last thing, because you notice I'm really talking about this today, but this is how it is. So did you like this episode? I have started a new series. I don't know even if I said it in the beginning. I was so excited to just start this series, but this is a new episode which we will be talking about your future self. How can we hold the energy of your future self? How can we keep ourselves in the energy that feels so good to us? You know that it feels good to you, right? So this is what we're going to talk about in the coming videos. We're going to dive deep, and you do also have the opportunity to ask me questions in the comment, and you can also give suggestions what you want me to talk about in the next videos, or what you want me to talk about, and I will create bonuses for this series as well. So I hope that you stick around, of course, and that we see each other next time. Keep on listening to Within Talks. Bye.